Hi, I'm Gary M0TIG here at Martin Lynch and Sons. This is the second time we're trying to do this. It's been quite a morning, but I've got with me SDRPlay, John and Andy from SDRPlay, who are going to talk through the various options that you've got with their radios and their software. So I will pass this over now to John, who will then introduce, I think, Andy. So, John, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi there. I'm John Hudson. I'm part of the SDRPlay team. I look after sales and marketing. I'm based in Bedfordshire, G4ABQ. And so we're really pleased to be invited along to this virtual sort of HamFest, Newark style, all from Staines. So thanks for inviting us. And right. Andy, over to you.
Yeah, hi. So I'm Andy from SDRPlay, and I'm responsible for software development, and I'm based in Kent in the UK.
Okay, so what we thought we'd do is just give a quick kind of update on our products, who we are, for those people who perhaps are new to SDRPlay, new to SDR. So, you know, if you know all that, just bear with for a few minutes before we move into the updates on what cool new software and capabilities that have come on stream. So I'm going to share my screen now, and hopefully you can you see my hang on.
Yeah, we can see your screen. It's all good.
Okay. And SDRPlay is an all British company. We're based here in the UK, and we're 7 years old now. We are a joint venture that was supported by another UK company, Mirix, who developed the silicon technology behind the SDRs that we use. And we manufacture in the UK, both in Hartlepool and in Peterborough. So, and we have our registered offices in Hampshire. Just a few words about what is an SDR, software-defined radio. So this is a radio communication system where components that were traditionally implemented in hardware, so that's things like mixers, filters, amplifiers, modulators, demodulators, detectors, and so on, are all implemented in software on a host computer. So our architecture, we make receivers only, we don't make transceivers. Our SDR receivers typically have this kind of structure to them. Some of the more complex devices have a lot more, but the basic RSP1A, you'll see up front at the antenna end over here on the left, are a bunch of broadcast filters which notch out those very, very high-powered interferers, which in the case of an SDR where you have the whole spectrum open, it's possible to get mixing products or other artifacts created by these intermod products from strong transmitters. So we can notch those out. Obviously, if you want to tune into FM or listen to the AM broadcast stations, you don't engage the notch filter. But when you're in other parts of the spectrum, it's very handy to just flip those front-end filters on. So as well as basic amplification, gain control, there's a bias T for powering remote masthead amplifiers back up the antenna coax. You'll see at the heart, there's this kind of bank of passband filters, which again segments the whole spectrum into chunks to keep the possibilities of mixing products to a minimum. The wanted bandwidth, which could be up to 10 megahertz of spectrum at a time, is then selected by the tuning electronics, and then the resulting slice of spectrum is digitized in an ADC, an analog to digital converter, which quantizes that all those signals, every signal within it, and feeds it over the USB connection to the host computer. And then after that, everything is done in software. At the heart of it is our SDR Uno software. And because that's then in turn connected to a nice display, you actually visualize the spectrum. You actually see those signals instead of having to just spin the dial and use your ears. So it really opens up the use of another sense for enjoying the radio hobby. We have 3 products, which I'm going to quickly just summarize for you. And as I mentioned, SDR Uno is the software which is constantly evolving, and new capabilities come along. If you buy an RSPDX today, a year from now, you'll find it's doing even more than it did on the day you bought it. So the RSP1A is our entry-level product. We tried to keep the cost down as much as possible. It's a rugged plastic box. It's got a single antenna port, but it's and it provides this 10 megahertz visibility anywhere from 1 kilohertz up to 2 gigahertz. And this same functionality can be mapped across to much of the third-party software, which is designed for all the RSPs. So things like the spectrum analyzer software, GNU radio source blocks, working with Raspberry Pi. And this is really, this entry-level product is all you need. If you just want to have a pan adapter, you're happy just to have one antenna input. And this makes a great, coming up to Christmas now, a great present, a great gift for anyone who's probably got time on their hands now, maybe retired, enjoyed ham radio way back in time, but has never really got back into it and doesn't want to jump straight into some real expensive hardware. This is a great way to, if they've already got a PC, I mean, they're up and running with this and a bit of wire, and it's quite nostalgic for them. At the other end of the spectrum, the youngsters who love playing with Raspberry Pis, playing with computers, suddenly this is a way of introducing them to the radio spectrum. They've already got the audio spectrum with microphones and speakers. They've got the visual spectrum with all the different camera peripherals and technology. So why not the radio spectrum? So that's a little plug for really extending our hobby out to the next generation. The DX really takes you up a level. We've got a nice steel, rugged steel box. We've got multiple antenna inputs. And again, like the 1A, the 10 megahertz visibility anywhere. But we've got extra large signal handling capability for the below 2 megahertz, where signals can be really strong. So you get outstanding performance below 2 megahertz with additional filtering, especially for that. There's an external clock input for people who need GPS accuracy, and as I say, nice metal case, as is provided for the top of the range RSP Duo, which is a dual tuner version. So the dual tuner RSP Duo either allows you to have 10 megahertz visibility anywhere from 1 kilohertz to 2 gigahertz, or separately you can have any 2 megahertz slices anywhere. So you can actually monitor 2 very widely spaced bands. You can have simultaneous real-time processing from 2 antennas. And because of the phase management, you can have diversity and noise reduction applications, which are really cool. So that's the RSP Duo. And this is a nice example of something we've recently, we're going to come on to and talk about some of the features in the new version of SDR Uno, which includes an ADSB plugin, which simplifies this, the ability to look at the 1.09 gig telemetry stuff from aircraft. And with the RSP Duo, you can simultaneously be listening to the pilots on the ATC band down here at 120 megs. But more on that in a moment. Before I move on to the latest news, I thought I'd just give a quick live demo. It's always a little bit dangerous, but I've got a list up. In fact, I just realised I haven't. I'm going to have to stop.
The morning I've had, it's probably very dangerous.
I need to share my sound. I realise. Let me just share my sound. So now you should be able to see my screen, and I'm going to go across, and hopefully you can see this is the display you get when you initially purchase an RSP, and you just download the software and launch it, and you get this fantastic display. And I'm going to just unmute this. I've tuned into 40 meters, and you'll notice how easy it is to use. There's all these band buttons here. So there's various ranges. I'm on the ham lower range of bands, which takes us from all the VLF experimental amateur bands through up to 15 meters. So I've clicked on 40 meters, and you'll see that the spectrum has automatically adjusted to between 7 and 7.3 megahertz. So I'm now going to unmute it, and you can see these little signals here, and the white line is the tuning frequency. Because transmissions are typically lower sideband, you just go to the right-hand edge of where you see a signal. So there's a signal, and then you think, well, I want to hear another one. There's one here. So I'm putting CQ. Another one here. It's recording this at 2 o'clock, so it's kind of not an ideal time of day.
Someone's bound to ask, John, what type of antenna are you got?
So
on there?
yeah, I'm using a G5RV.
Right.
Just a wire antenna. I don't know if, can you hear the audio?
Yeah, I can hear it. Yeah, it's very good.
I mean, we can flip over to 20, and then you'll see it automatically presets the settings to upper sideband, just like a traditional rig. And this time you tune to the left-hand side. Depending on your preference, if you go up here into the frequency display box and right-hand click, you can set the tuning step size. I tend to go for 50 hertz, but some people want it finer. Look, oh, those are broadcasters up there. There's a nice one. Oh.
Okay, and if someone wants to use the tuning wheel, John, is that easy to do?
Yeah, actually, I should explain. I'm using a wireless mouse, but the roller wheel on a typical mouse, whether it's wired or wireless, is your tuning control. This is the tuning dial. Yeah, that's a very good point, Gary, because trying to use one of these things without some kind of tactile wheel for someone who's used to a tuning dial is a nightmare. But a £5 cheap mouse with a wheel, or £10 or whatever they are, works fine. But that was just a little live demo to give you a sense of the look and feel. It's very like a traditional radio. I'm going to mute it now. You know, I know that you stock one of these controller devices. For people who really want to get into this, you can have quite powerful USB controllers with like this the shuttle you sell, for which we have a plug-in that then allows you to actually create hardware buttons and all the rest of it.
It's, as I say, they work really, really well. I mean, they are pretty basic, but you know, they are very good. Sometimes better than the mouse, but it's good fun with that. So anyway, that was. I'll stop. Am I still sharing? I'll stop sharing my screen now. And maybe just, Andy, if you'd like to just say a bit about what you've been up to, particularly over the last 6 months or so, creating what we know as 1.41.
Yeah, so we've got SDR Uno has been updated. There's quite a significant update recently that we just launched, version 1.41. it's got a generic scheduler function. I can actually just show you a video of that right now. So bear with me a minute.
Who will this be useful for, Andy?
So it's a generic function. It's a generic scheduling function. So you can use it to DXers might want to record chunks of spectrum at the top of the hour, or you may want to do some. You can sort of schedule some scanning if you want to do like overnights. If you want to scan some bands overnight or do recordings overnight. But whatever SDR can do, you can schedule that to do unattended, and you can set it up to do as many unattended events as you want.
Wow.
You can set them.
You might be a member of a Monday morning net, and you just want to record it when you can't be there and go and play it back later. So that kind of thing.
So you can set it up to say, record, every Monday morning at 9 o'clock, record 10 minutes of IQ data forever.
Wow.
You can do stuff like that.
Okay.
I've got a very quick video here, so we'll kick this off and let me know if you can share the sound. That would help. Let me know if you can see that.
I can indeed.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Let's kick the video off.
We start off by clicking the scheduler button, and this opens up a listing of all the events that we've currently created. We then have the option of using the transport controls in the lower left. In the upper right is a button that allows us to specify the recording folder for IQ recordings. Now we can add an event by clicking on the Add Event button, and that opens up the event editor. So the first thing we can do in here is create a start time for a given event. We give the event a name, and we give it a date for when we want it to start. We can then set recurrences, either none at all, hourly, daily, weekly, or indeed monthly. Now these events will continue to occur or recur until a particular date we can specify, or after a certain number of recurrences, or never. We can select whether we want a simple play function, an IQ record, or a scan, and the particular profile we wish to use for a particular event. We can specify the VFO frequency and which VRX we want to use. And then finally, we can pick from the list of plugins.
Okay, so that's... I just have to remember how to unshare. How do I unshare?
The green box. Oh, at the top. Scroll to the top.
Don't you just love technology?
It's because it's a pin on a different monitor. Great stuff.
It's driven me around the twist today, I can tell you. So that looks really, really good. It looks like it would be quite useful for for people that maybe have like a regular. I don't know. They might be listening to a sort of like a show or something and want to do that. Because we get a lot of shortwave listeners, really. So there you go. So It looks really, really good. I mean, what do you think will come in the future? Have you got any more things in the pipeline you can tell us about? Or
well, John's probably got the roadmap he can quickly show you. I don't know if you can do that, John.
Yep.
So we're now going straight into the you got it on the screen, John?
Yeah. Sorry, it's just there we go.
Okay. So we're going straight into 1.42, which is going to be basically an update to the scanner. We're going to go back to the scanner that we released a while back now, and we're going to give it a bit of a refresh. We're going to add some statistic collection. We're going to make the memory panel scanner faster because it's quite slow, and we're also going to add some customization. So you'll be able to customize. At the moment, things like the audio filter bandwidths are fixed. You've got 4 buttons that you can select that are fixed sizes. You can then modify them in the window. You can drag the bars and adjust them, but now you'll be able to actually specify those settings in the buttons themselves, and create your own band panel essentially. So where John was showing you the band buttons previously, they're all predefined. You'll be able to create a panel where maybe you just want to look at the CW section of a particular band, for example. You'll be able to specify the size and the center frequency of a particular band and create your own, really. So there's some customizations and some sort of a refresh of the scanner, and then we go straight into cross-platform 2.0 support with the remote server. So yeah, that's I think 2.0 is where a lot of people want us to be, and that's where we want to be. So we've rejigged the roadmap slightly in the recent couple of weeks, but the focus is to try to. We've got a limited amount of resource, so we're trying to focus on how do we get to version 2.0, and this is kind of where we how we believe we can get there.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, lots of good stuff still to come.
Well, because I've got a few little notes down here, and one of them was a very quick one. I mean, if anyone needs any help or anything like that, what's the best course of action?
Okay.
How do they? What do they do?
So basically, come to our website. I'm going to share my screen again here, and if you go to SDRplay.com, this is our homepage. A few months ago, we kind of tried to make it a bit more simplified based on what people typically came to us for help and for information. So at the top level, we've got it down to just these very few buttons, really. We've got, if you want product information as a potential newcomer to SDRplay, you get links all the way through to the 3 main RSP products, which you can then double click on. You can look at reviews, and you can even get information about our older products on there. So that's the basic information. So these have got buttons that are really easy to go straight to.
Yeah.
And obviously we've got one here if you want to purchase, and that takes us straight through to you can purchase from us, or obviously from our beloved resellers like your good selves who are listed here. And for people who are looking in from other countries around the world, maybe want local language support and so on, there's a nice list of approved resellers. Next up is, and this is probably the most used button, is software. I mean, everything is the S of SDR, software. So this really is a combination of access and help. So to get started, you literally put in your model, which might be a 1A. You've got a, Windows 10, and this will, obviously SDR Uno. This is where you'd go to get SDR Uno. And then within SDR Uno, if you want the latest version, you just click here. And everything, the documentation is here. There's the kind of roadmap that we showed earlier. There's guides and help to get started from this point. So that's very much for newcomers just getting started. They get up and running, but time goes by, they suddenly really want to do something else, or they're struggling. Then the next most important thing is this help button. And then within technical help, which is the button here, this is where we've really tried to put frequently asked questions here. So just take a look in case some of this helps. Let's say you've got your software you're struggling with, you've got no signal, there's some where we know things often go wrong for people, or they get confused. We've tried to address it here. But the key thing, the thing that really we pride ourselves on trying to do a really super job on it, if you still need help, you click here and you get prompted, please send a screenshot if you can. That's fine. But then you get your own panel to put your own information in. And this then goes into a ticket system, which we're looking at constantly. And we try to get the answers to questions, in a matter of hours. wherever we can. And you know, we don't mind where if people have bought direct from us or direct from you guys. We will be there to answer and help where we can, any problems they have. So that really, Gary, is the most important button on this homepage, which is need help question mark.
And what's the most common problem do you think that people have, if at all?
I don't know, Andy, do you want to comment on the sort of,
well, with regards to I guess there's probably two classes. Some people say, you know, I've connected it all up and I press play and I've got no signal.
Yeah,
that's the most common thing is that they just don't have the appropriate antenna connected for the signal, the type of signals that they're looking for. Sometimes they get an error message when they try and start the software, which most of the time is down to the type of USB cable that they're using. But I suppose they're probably the most common.
I think one of the ones that comes to me is the gain control. Sometimes people ask, "Oh, what happened there?" The gain control. How do they set the gain control and everything? So, but they can find all that information on that button.
Yeah, that button there is I would say the most important button. Now, what we've done is, because those are so important, we didn't want them to get lost among the other really, really powerful things which have been collected together in this MISC or miscellaneous, which actually this opens up now a huge bunch of resources. We've got information about antennas. And we're gradually starting to kind of get cross endorsement from some of the popular loop antennas, for example. There's a blog which has regular updates and news. But again, it's always hard to say what's the most important thing. I think this community links button here is probably, you know, so powerful, because you now have links to this top button alone here, the independent SDRPlay Facebook group. That is 16,000 people using RSPs. Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's you just click on that, and
that's grown a bit in the last few months.
Yeah, come on, here it comes. Look, well, let's have a. Where's the number? Yeah, 16.9K. It's almost 17,000 people. And some of these people are incredible. I mean, their knowledge far, you know, exceeds anything we could answer. So you could rock up there and just, and it's really friendly. I mean, sometimes, like with all these groups, people can get a bit excited, but mostly people come and say, and someone patiently says, have you put an aerial in? Is there a center pin in your SMA plug? And they just kind of get real time, and people enjoy helping each other. Yeah. There's another one for SDR Uno. That's another sort of 6,000 people. And then for people who hate Facebook, which, you know, there are some, of course. And there's a Groups.io group here, which is actually kind of growing steadily. And again, there's a lot of experts there to provide answers. So,
So the answer to all those sort of questions, then, you know, get involved with the community, because you know, a lot of the questions that people may, or problems that they may come across when trying to use these sorts of things, well, you know, somebody else has experienced them and probably knows the answers to. Yeah. So
and this one here, very quick, the videos one. This is a searchable link. So you want help with ADSB or whatever, you've suddenly got videos and documents on any topic. And these are videos that we have typically done ourselves, and it includes third-party stuff as well.
I think I'm on one of them.
I think you are, Gary. Yes, you are indeed. Yeah. So anyway, take a look at the MISC thing for all these extra webinars. I mean, that's another thing we've put a lot of time into. And that's...
Okay. The one thing that's come up a bit this week, and I think this one could be answered. A lot of people they've raised some concerns, say, about the plastic case on the RSP1A, And I just keep telling people that these things are metal sprayed inside. They might be plastic, but it's all good. You don't need to go worry about it being plastic. Is that the case?
That is the case. I mean, they are sprayed with an internal metallic coating, and so their degree of resilience to it's typically up at UHF and above, where the wavelengths are much smaller. Where you could get some, exposure to signals just getting straight through.
It's all in hand.
It's all in hand. I mean, people do. We've seen people put them in aluminium foil and so on. But, I mean, it doesn't really make much difference. The thing you have to watch is where stray signals get in is through the USB cable. Noise in the shack, switch mode power supplies. There's some pretty rogue. Some HDMI monitors can have, power supplies that are square waves, But again, the community is great, and we'll say, oh yes, well, that, and there are tricks you can do with toroids and stuff too.
I came across an issue fairly recently, actually, where I had some real horrible hum, and it all turned out to be a ground loop. And I managed to break that ground loop with the most inexpensive thing ever. And it was just a simple 3.5 to 3.5 jack isolator, little isolation transformer. And it cured everything. I mean, really, really was that simple. And it can be, but anyway, there you go.
Good stuff.
The other thing I've been asked down here is, are there any future, do you think you might do a USB stick version of the SDRPlay?
Oh, you mean a miniature version?
Yeah, a small version.
A small form factor with no plans really.
No.
We have heard the request, but one of the things is that extra thermal stability you get by having a better physical size kind of dwarfs the but if we could get the sense that people would buy them, in enough quantity, we'll look at anything. But at the moment, no plans.
Brilliant. Well, look, that was all the questions pretty much I had, and on the whole, the feedback on the product is fantastic. Nearly everyone that gets them absolutely loves them. And we've even had people come back and sort of like, they bought the small one and they end up coming back and buying the big one. So, it's a very sort of positive experience. And, I can see you guys work really hard on the product and the software. It's, because it's certainly come a long way since I first saw it. So that was quite a long time ago now.
It is, yeah. Well,
so there
thank
you go.
You very much for inviting us along. And,
no, you're more than welcome. And as I say, it's been a pleasure. Andy, thanks again for all your efforts. I don't know if we can see you on there.
I don't know if you can see me, can you? Thanks for inviting us, Gary. It's been hopefully we'll get to see each other in person sooner than later.
Well, hopefully the rallies and stuff will start again coming up very, very shortly. I believe one or two have already started, but I think we've got to try and get this year out of the way and survive to the end.
For sure.
It's certainly been a bit different. But anyway, look, thanks guys for your time. And as I say, sorry about the technical issues earlier. It was mildly stressful to say the least. Right, but thanks again, and we'll see everyone very soon.
Okay then.
So, thanks a lot.
Cheers, Bye.
Cheers.
Bye, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.